Well, we are this time for the AVB podcast have come up to this beautiful location down here in West Palm Beach, Florida, to hang out with Mr. Vanilla Ice, Rob Van Winkle. What's going on, brother?
What's cooking, brother?
How you doing?
Hey, man, just marinating in the sunshine.
That's it.
Down here.
Thank you so much for inviting us to your home.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Had a quick look around. We'll show you guys some stuff of that later. But man, we're gonna skip all of that stuff. We'll talk about that as we go. I want to know about you from the very beginning. I've seen some interviews with you, and you talk about the early days getting started with Vanilla Ice, writing the song early. Go before that for me. I want to know about the house that you grew up in, mom, dad, brothers and sisters, all that kind of thing.
Wow, family story.
Yeah.
Basically, I grew up with an older brother that used to beat the shit out of me all the time, toughened me up, and took me to the motocross track.
Yeah.
Come by and sling dirt all over me. I'd come home muddy. I'd get in trouble because something he did, and then I learned how to ride that motorcycle. And I just wanted to go throw dirt back on him.
How old were you when you started?
He's 5 years older than me. I was 8.
Okay.
So, that's he was much bigger.
Right.
But it was good because it toughened me up and it made me competitive. So I wanted to go out there and, we would go to the races. He would take me to the races stuff. And I got faster and faster to a point where I got way faster than him. And
Was that a family thing, or was that just a thing your brother was into?
It was just me. He kicked my ass so bad as a kid. I wanted to kick his ass when I grew up. So I did.
That's great. You probably still don't let him live that down either, right?
Oh, we grew up. We watched wrestling, and we love all that stuff. So, boys and brothers, doing that kind of thing. So we're good. But yeah, you don't want to saddle up on a motocross bike against me. No more.
What was home life like for you?
Oh man, home. My mom worked all the time.
Okay.
So she wasn't there, much during the day. We all come from different fathers, so I didn't really have a father.
Okay.
So I don't really know who my real biological father.
Okay.
Kind of like that whole thing has been very confusing for me since I was a kid. So I never really got a straight answer.
When you say confusing, you mean you just never even found out?
No,
Okay.
I heard stories, and it just changed throughout the years. And my mom, basically, her explanation was, "Sorry, sweetie, I really just don't know."
What was your mom like?
She's
What
a
is your
sweetheart,
mom
man.
like?
She's
I don't
my
know.
best friend.
Yeah?
Oh, she's a sweetheart. My mom, that's why I always say, word to your mother, man. That's you always respect that. And she brought me into the world, and just a complete joy of positivity, man. You can do anything you set your mind to it. And it's funny because she teaches me all that stuff, and then she said at the time, when I was rapping, I was really young. I was 14. She says, "White boys don't rap." I said, "Mom, what about all this positivity? And what about all this? You can do anything if you believe it. You can achieve it."
That all came from mom.
Yeah, she didn't believe in that one, I guess.
But all of that, because I've heard you say all of that stuff. I've heard you use. That all come from mom?
I told her, I said, "Mom, my mom's very musical. She's a classical pianist and all this stuff. So yeah, music's always been a part of, my whole family, my whole life. My stepdad is a tenor, sings in opera style. My brother, everybody sings. Sister tries out for American Idol, but this is way after me. They did that after, right? So,
okay.
But musically, my mom did it before me, and my dad, he comes from very musical. My stepdad, I say, comes from very musical background. So we had a lot of music in the house. He's my sister's biological father, and then my brother is a different father. So my mom, she got around a little bit, but looking for love in all the wrong places.
But she seems to have done a hell of a job.
She did a great job.
Right?
She holds it all together, man. She's a sweetheart. She's just always smiling, and she taught me that smiles are contagious.
So one of the things that you've said a couple of times as you're coming up, I know you got into the breakdancing stuff back in the day, dancing at malls and stuff, right?
That's where I started. I mean, when it came into the whole breakdancing movement, got me going, man. It energized me, and I was just like, oh my God, how do they do that? I would watch like Turbo and Ozone and Beat Street.
Breaking 2.
Breaking 2, Electric Boogaloo, all these great movies, and I would watch Turbo dance with that broom like it was magic.
Doing all the pop locket stuff. And
pop locking, windmills and everything. And I said, wow, this is great. So I started practicing myself. I put a dance crew together, and we would go to the mall and pull out a piece of cardboard, big jam box, and
I know this is in Texas. We're in Texas.
yeah, Dallas.
Oh, right in Dallas.
Right in Dallas.
Okay.
Yeah, the mall was called Prestonwood Mall. It's not there anymore. And we would, especially on the holiday when the traffic was coming in and out, and they let us do it. You know, everybody was entertained because they liked it. It was cool, and we would get crowds, make $30, $40 a day. You know, back then that was a lot of money. We would, you know, chase the girls around and, you know, watch a movie, get some pizza, and still have some change left over. You know, and at 14 that was good. So we would do it every day, and it was just a lot of fun. I never thought, you know, anything from it other than let's go have some fun, go to the mall, make some money.
But right from day one, you've had this work ethic, like a crazy work ethic.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that, like finding that work ethic and sort of applying it to an admittedly unusual circumstance for you, right? Mom's even telling you white boys don't rap.
Every bit of drive. When we look at ourselves and we look at others and we say, how did they do it and I didn't, or this or that, it's because basically you need a meaning, you need a purpose, and you need to drive. Half-ass commitment to your drive is going to make a half-ass output. So I learned everything through motocross. I had a day one day where I went to the track and I came in I was like 5th or 6th place or something like this, right? I was exhausted. And my stepdad had loaded my bike, put the new tires on, changed the oil, gas, cleaned them up, everything, tightened the spokes, brought my bikes there. And, you know, I'm coming by in 6th place and out of 40 riders, you know. And he's, go, you know, get these guys, you know. I come back into the pits and he's just already got everything packed up. He goes, let's go home. He goes, you're coming, I'm not coming with you next week. I said, why not? He goes, I'm not going to ever clean your bike. I didn't come out here to change all these tires and put this gas in these bikes, clean them up and tighten your spokes for you to come in 6th place. You let those guys beat you? You think I don't know you were in your girlfriend's house last night till 4 a.m.? I know. I checked your room. I go, damn it. And he goes, if you're not going to commit, I'm not going to commit. You know, I didn't come out here for this to watch you get 6th place. I come out here to watch you win. And you're way better than all these guys. You can do it. Next week, honey, I'm not coming over. I'm practicing, and he showed up every day for practice.
Yeah.
And he made sure I was there, and I had saddle time, and he would time me. He says, you ain't up. I don't care. You go out and do some more. Put more gas in it and go. All right, your time is up. And I had to do that every day after school. And sure enough, I beat all 6 of those guys consistently.
But it was important to you.
Showed me that, you know, once the gate drops, the bullshit stops. Everybody thinks that somebody else is going to do something for you, like your parents should have done this or that, or put you in this kind of program or that program, or took you like Billy Ray Cyrus to Disney or something and give me a chance to make it like Miley Cyrus. The stories are ridiculous. I've heard them all, and none of them make any sense because it comes from your own commitment. So when you're on the track as a motocrosser, nobody else is going to pin that throttle for you. Nobody else is going to, you know, help you go from 6th place to 1st place. You got to dig down deep and do it yourself. And that's why I say when the gate drops, bullshit stops. Nobody else is going to be able to help you while you're out there. If you want to see the checkered flags first, you got to want it more than all 40 of those other guys.
All right, so I want to come back to this part of it, but I got a real question for you then. You've spent your entire life around people who have come up to your level, right? People who are in this game, people who are in this business and claim to be all sorts of things. And they hit successes and they make failures and they do everything in between. Is there consistency in the ones that do well, or is it more random than that?
I don't analyze anybody else's life.
All right.
I couldn't even tell you because everybody lives a different life. Everybody's got different chemistry. Everybody's got different everything. Mm-hmm. You know, and what makes, you know, your thing might work for you and not for me. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Like I'm vegetarian and I have to be. I'm not a hippie. I just have to be because I have bad blood.
Right.
And I've been 17 years. But my buddy goes, oh, Wes, the guy on the show with me, he says, I'm going to try it. So he tried 3 months eating vegetarian. He's checking himself in the hospital. All of his levels are low and everything. It doesn't work for him. Mm-hmm. Doc says, why'd you do that? He goes, you got to check your blood. Rob's different than you. You know, I have different blood. Everything that I work on and what functions for me works for me, not you. And they said, you need to go back and start eating some meat. because that diet's not working for you.
All right, I get it.
But you know, that's what the whole thing is. You know, I don't analyze anybody else, but for me, I know that to be happy is successful. So it's never about the ambition to chase the dollar, the ambition to chase any other thing other than the dream. It's about just like motocross. You know, you line up at the starting line and you got to go, you know, 30 minutes, 40 laps to the checkered flag. And I try to like line up, you know, on that starting line pretty much every day. And what's my checkered flag, you know? Try to get those goals and try to set that goal and get there first, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, I have a lot on my plate, and it's sometimes it's overwhelming, and then sometimes I'm very grateful for it. And then, you know, there's no perfect life anywhere,
Right.
no matter how you look at it, no matter who you're looking at, no matter how they edit it on YouTube videos. It's just not.
Right.
So we say get it how you live it, and the person that actually wins in life is the happiest person, because the happiest is success.
Yeah.
You know, we all strive for happiness. Airplane. And I try to wake up every day, man, with a smile and go to sleep with a smile. And that's why I try to stay positive, because I don't take anything too serious anymore. I caught myself when I was younger taking things so serious, you know, and a lot of it has, you know, a lot of it just drive and just taking things that you don't know when you're young and making too much out of them, you know. I got a buddy of mine, sorry.
No.
He's a lobbyist, and he's over there lobbying in Washington and stuff, and trying to, you know, just tell me the story, trying to convince me that what he's doing is I said, hey, man, you know, I'm not political, first of all. I don't do any of that. I don't have time for it, to be honest with you, because I'm busy working all the time and doing my stuff, and to half-ass act like I've got to, you know, comment about it or something, I don't analyze it, so I'm not judging it. I don't even have enough focus on it or absorption of it to even give you an opinion of it. You know what I mean? So I'd rather steer clear and be like, have fun with that. I'll be on a pina colada on the beach, and I'll be in concert living like a teenager till I'm dead. I want to dance, and I don't feel like going everything political. It just it doesn't seem like fun for me. And if you're only here for a short time and they say make it a good time, well, being political ain't no good time for me. So I'm going to the pina colada. I'm sorry.
Let me go back. So you're doing the motocross stuff. You're doing the breakdancing stuff. Talk to me about, because I've heard you talk about going from breakdancing, then writing Ice Ice Baby when you're 16, and then it was, 3 years later got picked up?
Yeah, I wrote Ice Ice Baby. I was 16. I wrote that in about 20 minutes. And then it was on a small label out of Atlanta called Itchy Bond Records.
So you were already dealing with the label at that time?
No, I actually had 3 songs, maybe 3 or 4 that I had a skit to that I actually entered into with a fake ID.
Whoa. Skit to?
Yeah, I entered in a talent contest.
All right.
So I wrote raps. First of all, I was writing raps when I was 14, easily. We would battle on the streets, just keg parties and stuff. I didn't take it serious, so I never really laid anything down to, you know, any tape or anything like that, other than maybe a little one of those old
recorders,
tapes, you know, and you write a little stupid rhyme or something. But I would battle anybody, anytime, anywhere, and we had these keg parties everywhere. You know,
just freestyle battles.
Freestyle battles. Yeah. So it kind of came from that, and I practiced really, really hard every day. We would crack on our mama jokes every day, going to get burritos in a Volkswagen bus with about 10 people in it. Too many. And, yeah, if you got beat that day, I would go home and just be like, think of something I could come back with the next day to, you know, be competitive with. And we just practiced it, and I would break dance, and we would beatbox and do the whole thing, you know. It was a movement. And, you know, when I got in with a fake ID to a place called City Lights, they had a talent contest, and I had already been doing this on the streets. They said, anybody want to get up here? And this was in the hood, so I didn't take any of it serious. My buddy got me this drink called a runny nose, and I didn't even drink because I was so athletic and competitive with motocross, right?
Right.
So I took 2 sips of that, and I was on the stage. Next thing I knew, I was dancing and doing my thing and battling people and rapping, and people were like, what is this white boy doing? Damn. So I get off stage, and all these people come up to me with these business cards like Motown, MCA, Epic, Warner Brothers, all these things, and I didn't believe any of it. I'm in the hood, and I'm like, you guys went to the local print shop and made you some cards. You came up here trying to act like official, like you're somebody. If you were really this, you wouldn't be in this place. You sure wouldn't be in this dive, you know? And sure enough, one of them panned out. It was Ichiban Records. And I gave them a couple songs at first. And they said, well, that's not enough. You got to have a whole record. So that's when I went in the studio and made the rest of the record. But I had already had Ice. I did Ice Ice Baby, Play That Funky Music. I think I did a song called Hooked and Stop That Train. Or Go Ill. Go Ill was one of the original ones. And Ice is working it. One of the verses in there was one of my freestyle verses. It was hilarious. So I threw the record together in a week. It was fast.
Took a week to put it
To
together?
the Extreme was made in a week.
Holy shit. It was just rush it, get it done.
Yeah, I didn't sleep, but I did it in a week. I couldn't sleep. I was too excited.
Do you have any part of the musical side of it, or are you just all lyrics?
Yeah, I did the music too. I did it on a computer called a Kurzweiler.
Okay.
But we recorded it originally, like the samples and the loops were done on an SP1200.
Oh yeah, because that's back in the day when you were actually doing
It's
like
a floppy disk.
Yeah.
SP1200. And I have an 808 drum machine that we took some of the sounds out of it. But once the computer came out, you know, we would still use 2-inch.
Mm-hmm.
So it would still have to do the old school edits where you have to splice the tape and stuff like that. Stuff you don't have to do anymore. You know, now it's much easier to make a record. Sorry for the noise in the background.
It's all good.
Construction is all my friends are roofers and drywallers and framers.
I think anybody watching
plumbers.
this understands your construction background. So yeah, man. So talk to me about the process then from getting on board with Ichiban
Yeah.
to Ice Ice Baby kind of like just blowing up.
Oh, well, I got on Ichiban.
Because there's about 3 years in between, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of time in between that, you know. As soon as I signed, I was like, who else is on this label? They said Curtis Mayfield. I said, oh, legend, done, okay. And he had sold like 50,000 copies on his record there, and I was like, oh, sweet, okay, cool. And they're gonna really put my record out. Wow, I got to come up with an album cover. So I took this styrofoam place, and they had this like wire that heats up and melts the styrofoam, and I had this like thing, and I sculpted this crazy big blocks of ice and put in this foam, and then spray painted it with some neon colors, and then borrowed other people's jewelry and beepers. I didn't have any, so I looked cool, like sup, you know, and I threw the VIP, original VIP, you know, and I made my own album cover. And it was just a photo. And then there's a naked girl on the front. Her name was Ruth. I think she was dating another friend of mine or something. And she goes, she was just happened to be there. And I said, oh man, it would be cool if we had like smoke and like a girl in a bikini over there. And she just takes her clothes off, butt naked. She goes, how's this? I said, and there was the album cover. I was like, wow, that worked out.
That's awesome.
Here's FaceTime, my little girl.
Oh.
Hi. I'm in the middle of an interview. Say hi.
Hi.
We are, you remember I had a painting coming from Canada. They arrived, and we're doing a podcast right now. You're on the podcast. Saying hello to everybody. This is my girlfriend and little Priscilla.
Back there playing with Abby, and I'm trying to like she's playing with the little feet, and I was trying to hurry up and call you so you could get it. She's like doing a little feet.
Hi, Priscilla. She's such a sweetheart. I'll call you in a little bit.
I got two girls. There's important shit, and then there's my bullshit. You do what you got to do.
Little Sesame Street in the background, and she's actually playing Dolly with it.
Oh, I'm chopped liver when it comes to Elmo.
Yeah.
I don't even. Love you, baby. All right. Elmo wins over everything, hands down. Like, I mean, she'll move her head around me.
Yeah.
Like, to see Elmo.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
That's amazing what they catch on to, right?
Oh, they're great.
What were we talking about? I don't even know.
Ichiban Records.
Ichiban.
And, you know, so from Ichiban, I mean, Curtis Mayfield was on there, so I had to make the rest of the record. We did it really quick. And, you know, we put it out, and then all of a sudden, the B side of that record was Play That Funky Music. The A side of that record was Ice Ice Baby.
Okay.
And we put it out, and it did great. Funky Music went to number 6 on the charts, which was completely over.
Funky Music came out first?
First.
Okay. I completely...
It was overshadowed by Ice Ice Baby so bad that people think my first single was Ice Ice Baby.
I honestly thought Ice Ice Baby was the first one. I thought Play That
second.
Funky Music came out second.
First.
Wow. Okay.
A guy named Dave Morales or something like that from Atlanta or Georgia, somewhere in Georgia, Macon, Georgia. Some ghetto rap badass station over there decided to flip it over. And he was the top DJ. And he flipped it over, and the phones just lit up. And I guess he called some other program directors, and everybody started flipping it over. But, you know, from the time I signed to the point where that kind of blew up was I was already like the opening act for the opening act for the opening act for the opener.
Yeah.
On the Stop the Violence tour.
Which was like the first major rap tour, right?
First major rap tour with, you know, Public Enemy, NWA, you had Too Short was on it. I mean, everybody was on the Stop the Violence. Ice-T, Stetsasonic, EPMD. I mean, all these great, huge rap acts. And then, you know, I was the first one to go on. But Ice-T was over there on a road case going, man, y'all got to see this white boy dance. He called Chuck D. Next day, Chuck D was over there. Chuck D wanted to sign me on Def Jam Records.
Wow.
So I had a contract with Def Jam Records, and I was on my way to New York. As soon as I landed, my manager, Tommy, called me up and he says, don't sign that contract right now. I said, bullshit, I'm about to sign with Def Jam. I'm excited. What do you mean, don't sign? He goes, I'm on my way. I'll explain. Anyway, this guy named Charles Koppelman from, you know, EMI, SBK, Capital EMI Records, he came in with a way bigger deal. He saw from the South what kind of, you know, movement we had in such a short time when that record was played, to how it became so fast, number one, that people thought I was black.
That was my question, because at the time coming out, there are no other white rappers.
And they just assumed.
Right.
But I couldn't afford a photo session to make an album cover, so my album was just black.
Right.
When you buy it, it's just a song, and there was no artwork. It's just blank and black. And you got to listen to the music. It wasn't planned that way. I just couldn't afford it.
Do you think, because my question behind that is, do you think, I know you didn't give a shit one way or another, and I don't think most of your audience cared one way or another, but how much of the fact that you are the white rapper mattered when it came to that record contract? But it sounds like it didn't even matter for that.
No, it didn't. My song was already number one in the South. And it wasn't until the video came out, which after we signed the contract, obviously, then we had enough money to afford the video, which was still very cheap. We did it for $5,000, which is unheard of. This is when Michael Jackson and everybody's making $3 million 3-minute movie videos. You know, it's like, oh my God. And still to this day, it's the most played, highest grossing song and video of all time for MTV, the highest record ever. Insane. Probably the cheapest video ever played on there, too.
I don't know. They had some pretty cheap ones in the early days, man.
But yeah, that blew up, and
that's
when everybody went. That's when it went from, you know, being the opening act for the opening act for the opener to being the main act.
How does life change for you around there?
At that point?
Yeah.
Oh man, like a whirlwind.
Yeah.
I mean, picture being in a snow globe that's been sitting there for 2 years, not moved, and then a 2-year-old infant picks it up and shakes it and throws it across the room, right? And chases it down and does it again. Well, let's just say I had a weekend that lasted 3 years.
Is that how long the kind of full span was? Was about 3, not full span, but
for
like
me,
the big
at
pump?
that point, that's when the weekend started, because my record sold $1 million every week. I mean, 1 million records every weekend. Wow. So it was selling at that point. It went gold, and when they presented a gold plaque to me, 4 days later they presented a platinum plaque. And I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? This is crazy. I was excited at gold. And then it went to orbit. It took on a life of its own, and it was selling 1 million records a day, which is incredible because it did it for 18 weeks. And now it's over 163 million and still selling. and it's never left the top 100. So it's like been in there and selling around this world since 30 years ago, and still does to the extreme. Last year sold 3 million records, 3 million downloads, or whatever they want to call it.
Right. Yeah, because they calculate it all weird now, right?
Yeah, but it still calculates into platinum sales.
Just regularly.
Yeah, a million streams is like considered a million sales.
That's insane. Still going this long.
Yeah.
So here's my question for you. You're this kid growing up in Dallas, messing around doing your thing.
Mm-hmm.
You're working hard. I don't want to make it sound like it was overnight, because we both know it wasn't overnight. You busted your ass. I get that, right?
Yeah.
But then, overnight, you're one of the most recognizable human beings on the planet. There are only so many people who have had that kind of life experience. And I'm kind of interested, because I know about the dark shit. We'll talk about the dark shit.
I was about to say,
right.
It sounds better on the outside.
No.
Than living on the inside.
Yeah,
but
we'll get to the dark stuff, but that initial sort of like, before shit got like weird, give me your perspective, because you're a young kid, you don't have really much life experience, and all of a sudden you're at the top of the world.
And I never really grew up.
Is that true?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I never got a chance to be an adult. You know. It happened so fast, and I was so young. So, you know, it was.
Talk to me about your perspective through that, like, because now you're older.
Snow globe. You have no perspective. It's day by day.
You can't even just take it in.
You're on a schedule. You can't. Your life is over as far as you knew it. You got to basically live off of a schedule, and you're a puppet at that point. You're told where to go, when to be, when to eat, when to go anywhere. Your plane flights, your hotels, there you go. You're stuck, you're there. Where am I at tomorrow? You're here. Where am I at the next day? You're there. Here, you want to see on page 20? You want to see on page 200? Where you at 2 years from now? You'll be right there. Wembley Arena, you'll be right there, you know?
A lot to take in?
Yeah, especially when you're like, oh my God, I got money. I can buy cool cars. Wow, I bought cars. I bought houses that I never saw. I went on tour for 3-4 years, came back, and they're all old and like 5 miles on them. I'm like, whoa, what a waste of money. That was stupid. I thought I could actually be here. Right. I envisioned myself being here and driving those cars 3 years ago. I was on page 400 at that point, coming home.
You're traveling around the world. Do you get to see any of it?
See any of what? The world?
The world.
You get to see it.
From a plane?
Yeah, it's like dangle it in front of you when you're hungry and not being able to eat it. So you basically just get to look at it from an airplane or hotel room, and then you're off to the next city. Now, I've been around the world enough to actually have some time to spend around the world and abroad, and there's some beautiful, beautiful places out there.
I wonder, as you're going through it all, do you know at the time you're missing shit? Or does it just feel like everything's a party?
Well, when you tell somebody, wow, I just got back from, Italy or Russia or China, and they're like, oh, wow, you're living the dream. That must have been awesome. You go, honestly, I saw a hotel room just like I see in Cleveland, and I see the airport like I see in Cleveland, and then I'm back in the airport and off to Cleveland.
Right? At the time.
It's not like I'm running around Rome and the Colosseum and I'm seeing all the castles in England or doing any tourist stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
At the time, and I'll kind of bring it together, but I know you now when you perform, bring a bunch of people up on stage afterwards, backstage, most personable human being I've ever seen in my life in that situation. Just total pro, but not just pro, you're like a human and shit. Which is
I like people, man. I'm a people person, and I like to talk. I'm the guy that'll sit on an airplane and tell you my life story with a big Vente coffee.
Yeah.
And just be like, am I talking too much? I'm sorry. But I like that. I went out and worked and lived with the Amish and learned a lot of the old building ways and stuff with them. And we didn't have TV. We didn't have anything but a front porch and didn't have any phones, cell phones, no Instagram, no Snap crap, none of that. And we just sat there on the front porch and told jokes. And I didn't want a phone. I would have thrown it if you gave it to me. I didn't want it. The jokes were way better than any phone. And I couldn't even think of a TV or anything like that because we were too busy just enjoying each other's company.
Yeah.
And it really works if you do interact and you put the phone down and you really enjoy and you sit and talk with people. You'll find that the stories are much cooler than anything you're going to find on the phone.
Yep.
So
So
I'm
did
that
you have
guy.
that then?
What?
The bringing people backstage and all of that, or
I
was
love
that
to
something you had to
interact
get
with
to?
people. No, we in the '90s, the house party was invented. I'm a perfect example. It's funny that became like a nostalgia, the house party, '90s house party, but that's a true story because it came from the late '80s. You know, when we had underage keg drinking parties and we show up at somebody's house till the cops showed up, and if they didn't show up, we had a great time until the parents showed up.
Right.
You know, or whatever it was. But they don't do those things anymore. You know. Kids get in too much trouble. We just got away with a lot more stuff back then. And you know, kids are different. They don't even know about that because they grow up in cyber world these days.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're stuck at home. They don't even want to leave the house. They're playing Fortnite for hours and hours. We didn't want to go home because home was boring.
Yeah.
And we would get in trouble for not coming home on time.
Right.
So it was a total different world. And when
100%.
I didn't want to go home, I was out, you know, till 3, 4 in the morning doing things I probably shouldn't be doing, you know.
Mhm.
And you know, that's what we are, who we are because of who we were.
For sure.
And that's kind of what made the '90s house parties. It was that I don't see them doing that anymore, man. You just, you know, and they even made movies about them. You remember?
I remember House Party, Kid and Play.
Not just House Party, Kid and Play, but like even like other movies like that they did. I mean, all kinds of things, man. Had a little party going in there from Superbad to.
Oh, everything.
I'm trying to think of movies that were back in the day. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Just, you know, you'll see like in all the movies from the 90s, the house party thing is just big, right?
It's huge.
That's kind of what it was, man. And we had the greatest parties. So bringing everybody on stage, I want to recreate that. And it makes it so more personal and more like we're turning this into a real house party. We want to smell the sweat of the person next to you.
Yep.
Because you're sweating and you're just like, you don't give a damn because we're all sweating. We don't need Zumba class. We're dancing our asses off right now. And that's what it's all about, right?
Yep.
So you go home, you're sweaty, you know you worked out, you wake up the next day, you're sore from doing some dance move where you got low or something with it and your legs are sore. That was the 90s, man. You know, maybe you slept out in the backyard or something. You couldn't find your way home.
Just fun shit.
You know, fun shit.
All right, let's talk about the dark stuff. Everybody knows the Suge Knight thing, right? That story's kind of been put out there. Don't need to go through all of that. I do have one question for you, though. After the whole deal out on the balcony, everything's done, I think you signed a contract there, right?
Yes.
Okay. Everything's all done, and you walk out the door, and the door closes behind you. What the fuck now?
What do you mean?
What now? Yeah.
Go back to work.
Is that all it was? It was just like, well, that's done, and we just go?
Yeah, you have to understand, I was never upset about it. I didn't give a shit. It's all money. They're after money. There's a price you have to pay. I knew that rap music was gangster before I got in it.
Okay.
You think I don't know who's running things? I knew. And if you're going to have the amount of success that I'm going to have, they're going to want a chunk of it. And that's what happened. And I'm not the only one.
Right.
I'm just the most successful one. So that's why
Right.
they made me as the kind of the story line. But there's others. Eazy-E was part of it. You know, there's a lot of them. Jerry Heller. I mean, there's a whole list of people, you know, even actors. Arsenio Hall. There's all kinds of people out there that you got to pay to play, you know.
That kind of thing just happens.
Well, you got to understand, you know, that's what it was. That's what rap music came from somewhere.
Fair enough.
You know,
Yeah.
and you know, that's what it is, the streets, you know, and they want a part of it. So
closing that door was just off you
the
go.
The reason why it wasn't a big deal to me and it made good press is because of the way the story was twisted. I was never hung over a balcony. I was never, you know, I was taken to a balcony and talked to and signed it. I got it. You didn't have to. And the way the story was so twisted that he hung me over the balcony, it's different, you know. It's one thing if you look over it, or if the story is like you can see him hanging me,
Right.
like dangling me, and my change is falling out of my pockets, and my ankles are sitting there like some Eddie Murphy movie or some shit.
Right.
No. It was nice.
It was business.
He explained it. I got it. You didn't have to force it on me. It was not like I was. I got it. I understand it. He explained it. I got it. I get it. I don't care. It's money. I made way more money than I ever thought I'd ever make in this. What am I gonna? This is part of the price I pay along the way. I went back to work. I was in concert that night. I didn't give a shit. I didn't know what points were on an album.
That's incredible.
You think I knew how many millions I was worth? I didn't know. I was still on page 300 at that point on my tour.
Right.
I don't know.
So it wasn't even until later that you even understood.
No, everybody else knew what I was worth more than me.
Yeah.
I didn't know. They came after money. Everybody comes after money.
Right.
It was funny because if I would have stayed the same me, what would you have come after? You'd chase me down on a dirt bike or something.
I don't know.
It's
I think
all money, man.
I've seen the way you work. I think if all you did was dirt biking shit, you'd still have all of this stuff.
Here's the thing. As long as you got two hands and you can go to work, go to work. You're always going to make a living. You get it how you live it.
All right.
You
Move
know?
a little bit further then.
It wasn't about the money.
Let's move a little bit further then. If it's not about the money, part of it does have something to do with ego.
Well, you
Not necessarily in a bad way.
Oh, no, 100% in a competitive way.
Yeah.
Everything is boasting. That's where rap music came from. I used to use words like SUP, man. I'd look at you with my arms crossed and go, sup. I had every bit of the attitude.
Right.
See what I'm saying? You want some of this? And I still battle rap. These people have to write things down these days. Every rapper today has to write it down and get into some serious concentration. I can rap all day long, just don't even need a beat. I'll rap over anything. We used to have beatbox people just give it a beat. And we didn't have that. We just go a cappella. It didn't matter. Rap, 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 rap. All day long, freestyle. And didn't, it's different how everything's changed. But, you can make records a lot easier these days.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's got a home studio. We had to work a lot harder for it back in the day, it seems.
That's for sure. Like, I even in the conversation, because I do a lot of like historical conversations with folks, and I talked to some of the guys even back from the day when they had to like invent plug the transistors into shit, right? So, and that seems to be to me what really pushes things more than anything is people just trying to like create their little piece or whatever, and just what happens from that is almost outside of themselves.
I did a record called Hard to Swallow, which is a heavy record that was produced by a guy
When you're doing metal, right?
Ross Robinson.
Yeah.
It's heavy metal. And all the way up till about the late 90s, they were still doing analog stuff. Groups like Korn and Limp Bizkit and Slipknot and a lot of those 90s bands with all the super pedals and stuff where you can hit this and make a screeching sound, hit that pedal, make some kind of reverb or a delay or a different tone, and they just start hitting pedals and getting these cool sounds. Tommy Morello from Rage Against the Machine came up with a switch that he put a toggle switch that moves really fast, and he just stuck it on a guitar, and it was genius. And then he can just make this thing do some like feedback. He's not playing any notes and go. Sounds like a record scratching or something.
Right.
He created his own kind of thing there, which is genius. So all that analog stuff happened all the way up to the late 90s till about 2000. In 2004, actually, is when the iPhone came out. Computers, everybody started getting into the Pro Tools and all the different recording devices. And then all of a sudden, there's a plug-in for any kind of sound that you can think of. So if it had been done in an analog way, they recreate it into a computer and just put that sound into any mix by moving a little joystick or by a mouse and clicking it and sliding it here and pasting it. And I wish it was that easy back in the day.
Right.
Oh my God. So now the music industry is overly saturated, not like it wasn't before, but way overly saturated because everybody's got a home studio now.
Yep.
And then you have all the EDM stuff coming in, right? That came real popular because of the computers now.
And still is.
And still is.
50,000 people watching a guy wave his arms around.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely. But you have to understand it. There's a movement there.
Yep.
There's a movement. And that's a generation. And it's big. These festivals.
It's interesting to watch it switch like that, though, right? Because you've been around it for so long. You've watched the festival kind of game switch from even the rap stuff, and it walked away from hip-hop for a while.
Very interesting that you say that because this is called pop culture. And pop culture is almost gone because of computers. Because if you think about it, all the way up until the computer, go back, every single artist that you've ever had in musically, out there that made the records and everything, they're all doing their music, and then all of a sudden you have the computers. So when you have like certain generations, let me try to explain it a better way. The 90s, you have pop culture because you have everything from hairstyles where you shave your eyebrows or cut some zigzag lines like I did in my hair. You know, the baggy pants, Z Cavricis, you know, doing the running man and dancing, all the 90s, fanny packs, you know, the neon colors. They simulate a space and time that will be tattooed to time forever.
Right.
100 years, you look in encyclopedia back in the 90s and you're going to see those neon colors and the fanny pack and everything that happened in that space and time, right? You go back to the 80s, you think of Flock of Seagulls, you think of all these new wave musics and all these cool things when, a keyboard could play these neat synthesizer sounds and stuff, right? Everybody Wang Chung tonight, you know, just and the fun we had, right? And Cyndi Lauper and all these crazy acts that MTV was playing actual real videos. That's the 80s.
Yep.
You go back to the 70s, you know, and it's, you know, Crosby, Steele and Nash and Grateful Dead and hippies and peace and, you know, everything has a generation except 2000 to 2019. Zero pop culture. Name one thing that will define it. Let's go to 100 years down the line. Let's look back at 2000 to 2019. You know what defines it? Computers. That's what your pop culture is the computer came out.
Yeah.
The only thing we're known for now, instead of something musically, fashion-wise, music and fashion have been together forever, and it will define a generation. Kurt Cobain, late 90s, grunge. Everybody wanted a cool sweater with some holes in it and some jeans. Back again, you know, like they were in the 80s with the holes in the knee. It's fashion and pop culture. Name anything now that's happened. You know what? There's no fashion, no pop culture, and music is not powerful enough now to overpower a computer and the iPhones and the smartphones.
I don't know that it's gone. I just think it might have gotten spread out more. I think there's more of it in smaller...
It's so gone that they have gone back to the 90s. In fact, they can't come up with a cooler sneaker. Sneakers are bigger than ever. They sell them for $1,500. They slap a Supreme sticker on the side of it and sell the same thing as we had in the 90s called an Air Force One. They still sell Air Jordans and make $1 billion a year on them. That's from the 90s. They can't come up with any cool sneaker from 2000 to 2000. Everything is 90s. The fanny pack, for Christ's sake,
is back.
Bro, the 90s are the last of the great generations and decades where pop culture actually existed and thrived.
A friend of mine, Dusty D'Annunzio, who is a phenomenal guitar player, he tours around with Mark Farner from Grand Funk, said to me that Chris Cornell, Eddie Vedder, those guys were the last bastion of rock and roll.
Gone.
Because they were the last ones that could actually call their own shots and do what they want and still turn it into a career.
Yeah.
You kind of come from that same perspective, huh?
Yeah.
It's interesting because you still work in this industry. Like you've made you've changed what you're doing, but you're still in this industry.
Oh yeah. Because music is timeless.
Right. So, what do you think comes from it then? Are you just touring the '90s thing and then you're done, or
no. What happened? Oh, you mean what am I gonna do?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because you're still playing this game. Or are you just on the nostalgia tip?
I get shit. No, man. I'm gonna tell you right now. I thoroughly I had an epiphany a few years ago, and I said, you know what? From 2000 to 2019 is boring to me. I miss the 90s. And I don't care if you can make fun of all the clothes I used to wear and how funny it was. And the Ninja Turtles are awesome. And I said, you know what? Even at my age, I'm going to live like a teenager. I may not act like one because obviously Monday morning I got to go be a lousy adult and accept responsibility and pay bills. But on the weekend, I'm going to live like a teenager. And I'm going to not take anything too serious. And I'm going to live in the 90s because it was just better time. And if anybody wants to join me for this party, you can welcome to come right up on this stage too, because I'm here and I'm doing that anywhere I'm at on the weekends. And then on Monday, I'm building houses.
Right. So that's your thing.
My thing is to live like a teenager. You stay young. You stay happy. It's so much fun. The energy is like I've played Ice Ice Baby a million times. It's like playing it for the first time every time I play it.
Right.
Because of the connection that people have with their memory. It's tattooed to their memory through the pop culture. It's tattooed. You know what girl you were dating in high school when that song came on. Maybe you ripped out your back seat and put in subwoofers for the first time. Maybe you know what high school you were at. You knew that if you wore Z Cavrici pants, you knew you can see it. And you don't need to open up the photo album to look at it and go, oh, yeah, look at that. You can play the song and all your memory comes back. It's a photographic memory through the music. And that's the greatest thing about music is it will hold a part of your life forever. So Ice Ice Baby's not just a #1 song. It's way beyond that. It became an anthem. And when it became an anthem, that means it ties into a generation to where all that pop culture and all that fashion will be defined through that song that was #1 during that time. So when you think of 90s, late 80s, early 90s, you think, you know, the neon colors and the house parties and all the things I was just explaining. Ice Ice Baby. That's the anthem for everybody right through that time.
It's amazing.
And it was one of the most magical times that we've had. And we've never had anything so impactful since. And you can't look at anything that came from Disney or Justin Bieber like that. And I respect all of them. Don't get me wrong. Music's music. Great song's a great song. Don't ever talk bad about anybody. But the impact is, when you make an impact, it goes beyond just having a #1 song on a music chart. You know, that doesn't do it. You have to go into a culture, and you have to be a part of that culture to the point where the fashion defines it, and everything around it defines it, from movies, Ninja Turtles, Back to the Future, all 90s. All 90s.
How do you deal with the idea that all of that stuff, all the stuff that you're talking about when it comes to you specifically, when it comes to Ice Ice Baby, when it comes to your history, the stories of your life, all of those pieces, how do you deal with the fact that all of those are stories about you and around you and things that you experience, but ultimately have nothing to do with who you are?
What? Wait a minute. Say that again. Let me absorb that question.
All of the stories,
Yes.
all of the
Everything that's ever been out there?
for the lack of a better term, and I don't mean it this way, but all the hype that
Yeah.
comes around with being Vanilla Ice
Yeah.
is not who Rob Van Winkle is. There,
Depends on which story you've heard.
But what
'cause
I-
there's
but
some
what I
truth
mean
is
is-
out there. It's
no,
just
but what
which
I mean
one
is,
is the right one.
at the end of the day, you come here and you throw on the TV and you do your thing,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you put your stuff together, but then you have to deal with this. Like I came in, I didn't know the one song came out before all of the pieces, and everybody who approaches you thinks they know who you are, but who they think they know.
It's artificial. It's not the real. I think now, because time has gone by, that I do know a lot of my close personal fans that have been throughout the years are just now figuring it out, you know?
Yeah.
Because when you see something so big and so larger than life, you think that there's more to it than what there is. And in fact, it's the simplicity of it which makes it confusing to them.
That's actually kind of where I was getting at with it.
Yeah, I actually am pretty normal. You know, one of my most fun things I do in my life, I wish I could sprinkle a bunch of fairy dust on it and fireworks over it, is basically the same thing that you would probably enjoy. It's basically just me, a bag of chips, and my underwear, and my little girl Netflix, watching movies and hanging out, you know, doing the simple stuff with some food cooking, you know?
Yeah.
I'll be on tour on the weekend, dancing on stage and loving life, you know, and living, you know, in the moment, because I believe that, like, we're here for a short time, make it a good time. We understand that, but what does that really mean? It means, like, making memories.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even care about my music. Like, all the stories, like, people take me too serious. It's only entertainment.
Right.
Enjoy it. Enjoy it. You want to analyze it and judge it based off of some internet story, 99% of those are all false anyway. You know, Trump had it right when he said fake news. It's everywhere. It's not just the news. It's everything is the tabloid these days. Everything.
But it's kind of the game you're in, right?
It is part of the game, and I never take it serious, so I don't even read the stuff. I don't even care about it. I tell my kids, I said, listen, everything you hear about your dad out there, or anybody that knows me personally, they know, man, that's an artificial life. That's made for entertainment value only. Then there's the real dad. You know, it's not as glamorous as that life. I wish it was as good as the dream, and it's really not. I got to go to work, baby. I'm sorry. I got to get up and go get my coffee, and like everybody else, and get out there and grind and go to work and make things happen, you know? And it gives me a purpose, it gives me a meaning, it gives me drive, it gives me ambition, and that's what I wake up every day with, all that under my belt, not doing this, twiddling, what am I doing today, where am I going? I've already got 2 days ahead of you where I've thought of that. I'm always trying to stay 2 days ahead, you know, so I can keep the momentum going and knowing what I'm doing.
Do you still put a large schedule in front of you? Like, do you still, because you know what's happening in 2 days, but do you still look at schedules a year from now?
No.
Or do you try to keep things more kind of
Day
just
by
flow?
day.
Yeah.
I believe yesterday's history, tomorrow's a mystery. If I tried to, you know, that's why I paid my manager and my tour managers and all these guys, agents and stuff, to take care of that stuff. I'm the entertainment, and I explained that to him when I hired him. I says, I'm not here to do your job, and I know you're not here to do my job. You're going to get paid, I'm going to get paid, so let's just work together. We're a team. You know, they're behind the scenes, so they're the ones that do all the paperwork and all the boring shit that I don't want to do, while I'm the one out doing the creative stuff, the stuff they don't want to do. So, you know, I have a real estate team, mortgage company. I have different businesses that I run, and I personally build those teams of people, and based off of my experience in going to a bunch of seminars and educating myself and reading books like The Platinum Rule, and it shows me how to build these teams. And since at a young age, doing Ice Ice Baby, 16 years old, I had to have a team that I didn't know how to build, but I saw people that that were friends of mine. I put them in positions that they didn't really perform too good. They didn't like the position. It wasn't something they enjoyed doing. You know what I'm saying? And it didn't come out very. It was a disaster. So I read this book called The Platinum Rule, which tells you that there's thinkers, there's relators, and there's socializers, and there's directors. And once you know that there's 4 types of people, that's how you build your teams to be successful. And you're never going to do it on your own, because you need all 4 ingredients, and you're only one. So I'm the director. Wes Kane would be a socializer because he's loud and can walk in a room. He likes all the attention. He'd be a good salesman job. Somebody you'd want out there in the front to get the attention, to get that, funnel that traffic in. And then once it's in, you couldn't give them to Wes, because then you need somebody behind the computer. You need somebody that can handle the cubicle job. Those are your thinkers and your relators. They love being organized paperwork. They love being on the computer, and they don't really particularly like, you know, going in big crowds of people like the socializer and the director would. And you need to strategically know how to place the type of person in the right position. And once you do, you can become very successful at anything by building these very efficient teams. And I've done it with real estate. I've done it with finance. I've done it with touring, and it works. And it's a very fun book. Check it out. Platinum Rule. You'll love it.
Yeah.
And you'll understand who you're talking to in 4 seconds. Like I can tell you right now, you know, he's a relator. You're a relator thinker, because you're relating and you're thinking, and you're doing that. A lot of thinkers don't really care about being famous or anything. They're kind of introverted, but they're not talkative. They're sitting in the back of the room, and everybody's wondering what they're thinking, but they won't say anything. Those are your thinkers, and those are the ones that orchestrate everything behind the scenes, man. I'm telling you, you need those people in your camp. So it's funny how you start to look at people, but then you'll start thinking, wow, if I had you for this job, you know?
Dude, I don't mean to make this about me, because it's not about me, but you just literally described in a much better way what I tell all the people that I deal with, and that's I collect human beings. Like, that's all I do. I go and I meet somebody, I find out what I need to know about them, I figure out what they're good at, and then if something comes up in my path that I can put them in front of, that's what I do.
You remember it, and you're like, oh, I got somebody for this position.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fucking hilarious.
And it's not always going to be your best friend or something. You know?
Yeah.
You got to look at how the person is.
I recommended somebody 2 days ago that I can't fucking stand as a human being.
I tell my girl Angela, she's been with me for, 17 years. And she loves she keeps the office so organized, and all the paperwork is so perfect, and she can show you everything and type like that, and everything's computer and organized and filed. And just like, I could never do that. And I was like, God, I'm so glad I have you. You're so incredible at what you do. And then she's like, I don't know how you get out there with all those people, and it's hot out there, and you're doing construction, and how do you dance on stage? She could never do that. Never was. I knew that she was the good one for that job. I put her in that position, and that's what helps me be more efficient at what I do, you know?
I came in, like I said, I don't start these with a bunch of loaded questions, but I had some definite points that I wanted to hit with you, and none of them matter. That was the most insightful thing I've ever heard in my life. Man, thank you so much for sitting down with us.
My pleasure, man.
Thanks again for inviting us down here. You have 2 beautiful homes that you've been working on here.
Thank you, brother.
I'm very honored to be able to sit down and learn from you, sir.
Oh, man, my pleasure. Good chatting with you, brother.
All right, folks. All of the links, as per usual, are down below so that you can find the information for both our guests and, of course, our amazing sponsors. Want to give them a shout-out. Couldn't have been here if it wasn't for them. Of course, we'll be back here next week. See you then.
Holla, Papi Kala. Word to your mother.
My man.
Oh, sup.